All right, welcome back to Boring Reviews. Nick here.
Jodi there.
And we are super excited to check out some more
Sarah Millican.
And I don't think we've seen this. Now I'm starting to doubt myself. But we're checking out her English to American translate. Haven't we seen something like this?
We've seen something like this. We'll check it out and make sure that it's not the same one.
I really doubted myself, so I double-checked. This is not the one we reacted to, so I'm excited for that. Like she said, English to American translation. Super excited to check this out. And it sounds like she's going to tell us, the differences. Like biscuit, cookie, right? Chips. Fries. Crisps, chips.
Toilets, restrooms.
Yeah.
They call them. We don't say where's your toilet. We say where's your restroom. Where's your bathroom.
Like for me, it's a desperation thing. Like if I have time, can you tell me where your restroom, your bathroom's at? If I'm desperate, where's the toilet? Need it now. But we're gonna go ahead and check this out. If you like our reaction, please don't forget to
like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you can be aware of our next uploaded video. And I'm having a little bit of an eye problem, so just ignore that.
If you can limit that and limit the coughing, leave peace.
Oh my gosh.
All set.
I'm falling apart right now.
Just do it quietly. That's all. It's like I tell my kids, if you're bleeding, don't make a mess. If you're dying, do it quietly. We're trying to learn here. Here we go.
When I say Myra Hindley, you think Ted Bundy. That's your equivalent. In the UK, Iceland is the name of a freezer shop. That'll make more sense later on. An optician is an eye doctor. You got that. You know that, don't you? Scrape and polish at the dentist is what you guys would call a tooth cleaning. I feel like ours sounds more abrasive and a little bit harsher than yours does.
Absolutely.
There's a bit about Richard and Judy. Don't worry about it. Just skip over it. If you're that bothered, Google it. When I say ma'am, you say mom. That sounded like mom. No. I would call my mother my ma'am. Sometimes people mishear and think I'm saying man, which is a very different relationship. I call this my fanny, which blows your fucking minds because it's a very different thing to you guys. At the end of the show, some of you will be a bit more confused about your holes than you were when you started watching the show. And some of you, because of me, later on will accidentally have anal sex because of me, and I can only apologise. Some of you will have it intentionally. I understand how these things work. But for those of you who's an accident, I'm sorry or you're welcome, depending on how it goes. The hedgehog at a kids' party in the UK is a very British thing. It is an orange that is stuck with a lot of cocktail sticks, on the end of which is either a pickled onion, a cube of cheese, generic cheese, a bit of hot dog, if you're posh, a little bit of pineapple. We never had pineapple. And I think it's a sign of how terrible British food is, that we have to disguise it as a delightful woodland creature to get it into our children. When I say chips, I mean your French fries. Yes, good, okay. I have to tell you, actually, when I was in LA on this tour, I was tired. I ordered a room service menu. You might have seen it on my social media. I ordered burger and chips, and they all laughed in the kitchen. I'm sure they did. And they brought up a burger and a bag of crisps. And it's probably one of the 3 saddest things I've ever experienced.
I don't mind chips with my hamburgers.
Lodger is a tenant. You get that. Nightie is a night dress, not just worn by grandmas, also worn by 47-year-old sexy women. I don't know who that is. Asda is a standard supermarket. Dungarees are overalls. Thrush is a yeast infection. Piles are hemorrhoids. This is a lot more medical at the moment than I was expecting it to be. Teddy bear ham is just like cooked sandwich ham that is in the shape of a teddy bear. I think it's quite a British thing. Again, tempting children. By their parents. That sounded different. The Madonna bit has a lot of UK references. I'm basically saying spare a thought for those who aren't allowed to get old, such as Madonna, because I, for one, can't wait to let myself go a bit more. Sanitary towels or pads doesn't mean they're the size of a towel, although some of them are, thank God. Moon cup, we call it moon cup, you call it a diva cup. My husband doesn't know really what they are.
I know exactly what they're called.
He puts it in the cupboard with all the other shot glasses. Grazia is a woman's magazine like Cosmopolitan. Varifocals are trifocals. A careers advisor is a guidance counsellor. Smear test, pap smear. Pap smear sounds like somebody's jumping out of the bushes to take a photo of your smear bush. Car jack is a tyre jack, I think, to you guys. You're intrigued by some of these. You're going to look forward to these popping up in... Maybe it could be a drinking game. Every time a reference that you remember pops up, you have a little drink. Two stone is £28. And The whoop section in the Asda supermarket is your clearance section. Yours makes a lot more sense. I don't know why ours is like, whoops, about to eat something.
I don't think like, whoop, whoop, it's cheaper. She said that 2 stones is 28 pounds. And that might date back to like a long time ago. But like in modern times, like how often like are you going to say 2 stone? Like how often are things going to come out to 28 pounds? You know?
Well, tell me if I'm wrong, but
or
I
maybe
still
it's weight,
think
not money.
Yes, I still think the
Pounds
British
and pounds?
use stones
Okay,
for their
well
weight.
then still like I don't know, maybe people are stones if it is weight because that makes sense. Are stones still used quite often? Like will people say like, oh, I weigh 5 stones?
Tell us, but I feel like they do. I feel like in England they do.
Maybe not 80 pounds.
I thought this was like the very beginning before she did her act until you pause and I realized, oh no, that's just what this is.
Yeah.
It's just
well, and she talks about, you'll understand that later. So maybe this was part of like her comedy special, and so they put that at the very beginning. Maybe she plays like I don't know if she tours here in the United States, but she does. It would make sense to kind of play this real quick.
Well, and she did say that when she was in LA.
Yeah.
With her.
I mean, I'm sure she visits, but I'm not sure if she tours here. She could, hopefully.
That's nearly off. Pebble dashed. You're going to enjoy this. Is what people used to do at the houses in the 70s, but in this instance, replace it with my arse just exploded. Just if you could drop that in when you're watching the show. Courgette is zucchini. A&E is the emergency room. And you know that when I say biscuits, I mean your cookies. You know that, don't you? I don't mean the abomination that you call biscuits. I mean, I love a lot of your food, but what the fuck is that?
It's a roll. Delicious.
I once ordered biscuits and gravy in the US, and I thought, I like biscuits, I like gravy. This could be incredible. You know, this could change my life. And what arrived was one thing that was so dry, it removed all of the moisture from my system, and I did not piss for 2 days. The other thing, I'm sorry, it's not gravy, it's jizz. I'm sorry to have to tell you, but it's definitely jizz. Now, I
have to say, then she had really bad biscuits.
Well,
because there are some biscuits that are super dry and gross, but there's also some that are good.
Yeah, I feel like the last several... I like biscuits and gravy. I do something about like the flavor, and I love bread or whatever. Biscuits and gravy are rolls. So we have rolls, which are kind of more fluffy, and then we have biscuits, which are a little harder, a little more dry, like she says. Yeah, a little more crispy. But they don't have to be like, you can go to KFC or whatever. I'm curious if they have the biscuits at the KFCs in the UK, but you go to KFCs and theirs are a lot more fluffy inside, but it's still kind of harder on the outside. Yeah. It's almost like a rectangular prison type thing with a little cube cylinder, like a cylinder. But anyways, I'm talking too much about this. I love biscuits and gravy, but you can go to some places where the biscuits have been there for hours and they are hard as rock.
Yep.
I still like it though.
You can slot those in as you go along. No. Thanks for watching.
I will like and subscribe.
We just
absolutely
finished that slightly too early.
Just a smidge.
Just a smidge.
But I enjoyed that because I always like to know, not just with the UK and the US, but just differences everywhere. And, you know, oh, you call it this, that, or you guys do this, or you celebrate this or that, or whatever. I find that to be interesting. This was a different type of video reaction for us because we may not be giggling the entire time, but informative, interesting. And yeah, the fanny thing definitely threw us off when we first...
When he first
reacted to that one. I assume she was talking about her butt throughout most of it.
Because fanny to us is your behind. Yeah, your butt.
It's literally like in the U.S. Like maybe it's just me, but I always thought as fanny, the reference for the butt is like the most like harmless reference for it. Like it's like it's a
sit on your fanny.
An innocent. Yeah, like you say to kids all the time. That might like terrorize you, but you say like have a seat on your fanny. I'll sit on your fanny. Oh, did you hurt your fanny? Like. You would never say that, obviously, to a kid in the UK, I'm guessing.
Obviously not. And what I will say is fanny is a little bit outdated as well.
Yeah, it's not used too often.
It's not used a lot.
But we recognize the term.
We 100%. But we would, I don't know about you, but I usually say sit on your back pockets.
I just say sit on your bottom. Because, like, and the only time I ever say it is, like, we're at assembly. And, like, in elementary school, the kids still sit on the hard floor for assemblies, which I feel bad for them, but they do. And so you'll have some kids that will always like want to sit on their knees so they can see a little easier.
The people behind them can't see.
And so I always just say crisscross applesauce on your bottoms, and they know exactly what that means. I've never had anyone complain about, oh, that's inappropriate.
No. I usually do that, or I'll say like when my students are always like tipping back or something, I'll say all 4 legs on the floor.
Yeah. The chairs.
The
chair, dude. I mean, I remember being a teenager, not in school, but more at church, and leaning that chair against there and trying to get it right.
I remember that.
A few times we'd fall or whatever. But as an adult, it drives me crazy. That's like my get off my lawn type moment for an adult. It drives me insane.
For me, it drives me crazy because kids fall off them all the time. I've had one student who's probably fallen off his chair maybe 4 or 5 times in a month. And I'm like, this is why you stop tilting. Yeah. And when they're so close to each other, you're just ready for their head to hit something.
The chair, but like my students that do it, I have a few that do it regularly, habitually. And they're not leaning against the wall. They're just like, I don't know what they're doing. So
bouncing.
It just makes me nervous. So I honestly, I'll just bring the chair down. I try to do as calmly as I can. I'll just bring the chair down. In the past, I used to use my foot in the leg and just kind of push it down.
I do that when my students aren't paying attention. I'll just put my foot down and push it down, or I'll just take the back and like lift it up as I'm walking.
But yeah, it's interesting, these terms. I get the spellings different. A lot of words, the OU for the O, whatever.
Ma'am for mom. I thought it was mum. Please tell us, what's the difference between ma'am and mum?
Is that just your guys' way? Are you just saying ma'am, but it sounds like mum? Because it sounds like in James Bond movies, like, yes, mum. Like when they're talking to M or whatever, like it sounds like they're saying mum. Yeah. But it sounds like they're saying that as like to like a superior or to like a term of endearment to like like we would say ma'am or miss or whatever.
Yeah, because mom or mother or mommy, whatever, but ma'am to us is like, some Americans get very, very offended being called ma'am.
More and more don't like it. More and more ladies do not like ma'am. And if you don't say ma'am, they'll say, thank you for not calling me ma'am.
And I don't get it. I have no problem with it because people are trying to be respectful.
They associate that with older, and I've had some people, I don't know what most people constitute as old. For me, the beginning stage was 40, and then it was like 50, and then 60. Those were the levels. And, but I've asked like a 60-year-old, like, I've always been taught to be respectful. I spent a few years in the South. It's very, very manners respectful there. And so those are terms that you use to everyone. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. That kind of stuff. But yes, I've had much older people say, don't call me that. I'm not my mom. Never said you were. I said ma'am. Maybe in their household they said ma'am to their mom and they don't want to associate that and think. But I think when you're in your 60s, I think you kind of transition to that later stage in life. Yeah. I don't know, but this was very interesting. Maybe our conversation wasn't, but if you don't mind, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.
Goodbye.